throw away your Trojans, my friends, because according to Shinoa in this week's episode of Seraph of the End, in the vampire apocalyptic future, illicit sexual behavior is encouraged. So get your freak on, for the sake of mankind. The third episode of Seraph of the End is bodaciously badass, an action fun fest which must be seen by all action anime fans. The third episode of the series is currently my favorite one thus far, mostly for that action sequence at the very beginning, which was a battle between Yuichiro, the main character, and Shinoa, his army surveillance officer. This scene is not only incredibly well animated and has a lot of impact behind it, and some amazing use of color, but it's also a great excuse to learn a little bit more about the cursed weapons, which are these demonic weapons which are used by the Demon Moon Company to hunt down vampires, monsters, and all types of heebie-jeebies. Shinoa is able to summon her weapon with the use of this black key, which suddenly bubbles into this black and orange fire and transforms into this massive demonic demon known as the Shikamadoji. This thing is so metal looking, and then it just suddenly transforms into this badass black and neon green scythe, and the way she actually moves it is so amazing, because she literally looks like she's dancing with it, and of course, she pretty much just destroys you. Not only does she push him back constantly, but she's actually able to summon the Shikamadoji demon, which can slam into people like a big energy attack. It was great. More of this, please. The second half of the episode opens up with this story which was teased at the very beginning of the episode, where there was this one student who went to this restricted area which was filled to the brim with all of these demonic entities and weapons, and this is basically where we get to learn this is how you're going to be making a contract with your weapon if you're going to be a part of the Demon Moon Company. The problem is these demons can actually overtake you and basically possess your body and turn you into something even worse than a vampire. I can't wait to see what worse than a vampire is going to be, but really this show is just sort of opening up the gamut on big apocalyptic monsters, and I think that's pretty damn awesome. Yuichiro, Yoichi, and Shinoa decide that they're going to go after this student, and maybe he'll even get him a weapon at the same exact time, and they come down to this underground school area, and this is also where we learn that this is all just like a part of trying to recruit people for the army, which is pretty messed up in and of itself, but then again, this is the end of days. We need some drastic measures in order to sort of rebuild mankind. So they end up finding this kid who's hanging out with this massive axe in the middle of this, like, giant-looking alchemaic circle when suddenly Yuichiro decides he's going to fight him bare-fisted. And this sequence is great because the animation here is really great when he grabs his axe and swings around. The problem is suddenly he gets sucked in by the demon's energy, and the demon starts feeding these weird images into his mind of him actually being with his friends again. I don't know what it was, but this scene, to me anyway, was incredibly creepy and disturbing, especially when he sat down and his friend Mika said, "Well, have you actually rebuilt your mankind kingdom yet? Have you decided to get revenge for us yet, huh? Why aren't you doing that yet, buddy?" And all the other guys are just looking at him with their creepy eyes, and it's real disturbing with the music, and it starts to go all quiet. And luckily, Yuichiro is snapped out of this, and he realizes that these are not his friends, and this is just the demon messing with his mind, and he's able to overcome it, which means he's going to get his own weapon. And if you watch the intro, it's going to be a badass black and green sword, and I can't wait to see what that's all about, especially the demon that he's going to make a contract with. I think that's a really interesting element and something I did not see coming whatsoever. I mean, this series is really cool with all the awesome monsters and stuff that it has going for it. So, there it is. In the next episode, it looks like Yuichiro is going to be going into training full-time, and maybe things will pick up a little bit more from there. But I know we have a few characters that they haven't even introduced yet. And at the very end of this week's episode, they finally follow up on Mikaela. Mika is a vampire. Big shock. They sort of spoiled it in the intro, but still, it's good to finally see it happen. And there's that one guy who survived for some reason, and he walks up right to him, telling him that they actually know that Yuichiro is alive, and then he ends up putting his freaking sword right up to his throat. It's intense and awesome. We even get to see that he has fangs. But it's interesting to note that he has blue eyes, and I'm guessing that maybe like pureblood vampires have red eyes, and the ones who are actually transformed by them just have their like normal eye colors, but they do gain fangs and maybe some other cool abilities, but we're just gonna have to wait to see what those are. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Seraph of the End? I'm really liking this show a lot. I really hope that it doesn't lose its momentum and its style, because it's really good. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking, really. It's just a really fun show, and it's not too deep. It's just good. I love the character designs. I love the action sequences. That opening action sequence on the top of the school was so awesome. Shinoa is great. She's really grown on me in the last 2 episodes. I thought she was actually going to be a very annoying character, but I just completely fell in love with her when she was all about hurrah for illicit sexual behavior. And what's really funny is from that moment on I realized, if they got a little dirtier with this could pretty much be a vampire hentai. But that's a discussion for another video. This episode right here was pretty damned action-packed and had some really great animation and artwork going for it. Even in the end of the episode, that big sequence right there was just as good as the first, but it's really hard to top that big badass scythe, which just had all the flames on it. Every single time she swung it around and freaking hit his sword with it, you could just see like the sparks flying off in black and red. It looked really, really awesome. I can't wait to see what all the other weapons are going to be like in the series. There are some teases for some of them that we are going to see, obviously, in the intro. We do know that Yoichi is eventually going to get a bow and arrow, and there's also that one character who has these 2 swords, and then there's that one girl who has that big-looking axe weapon, which she just slams into the vampire, whose body just explodes on impact. Really, I can't wait to see all of the weapons from this series. I will say that this week's episode was incredibly exciting, and you should definitely check it out if you've been following the anime series, or if you're a fan of the Seraph of the End manga, which I have not looked at. After watching a few more episodes, I might want to do that, but I don't want to spoil anything. I just want to watch more of the anime and see what it's going to do, because I'm really enjoying this one right here. It's definitely a pleasant surprise. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 5 out of 5. I really liked this episode. If I had to complain about anything, it would just be nitpicky. This was just a nice, fun episode with some great animation, some really awesome weapons, and some really likable characters. So check it out, guys. It's Seraph of the End, and it's pretty badass. Thank you guys for watching my review. Before you leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Seraph of the End. What did you think about that opening action sequence? What do you think of Mika returning? And if you could be in the Demon Moon Company, what kind of weapon would you have? Please tell me in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow us on social media, like the video, and share it with all your friends. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.